We're here in Mount Pleasant, DC, outside the home of Cheryl Berger and Robert Robinson, founding members in the Mount Pleasant Solar Co-op. Solar's come a long way since. It's gotten a lot cheaper, it's gotten a lot more efficient, but some say the future of solar hangs in the balance with the federal subsidy running out in 2016.
The reason we got involved starting the solar co-op in the first place was actually my son Walter and his friend Diego went and saw the movie Inconvenient Truth.
The assumption's something like this: the Earth is so big, we can't possibly have any lasting harmful impact on the Earth's environment. And maybe that was true at one time, but it's not anymore.
So we looked into going solar, and this was 2007. It was really confusing, it was really complicated. Everyone we asked told us contradictory information. And so I basically said to the guys, look, if we're going to do this, we should do the whole neighborhood, because at least then it would be worth all the work, because it's just not worth that much work just to do one house. And so they started the Mount Pleasant Solar Co-op, and they created these little flyers, you know, do you want to join the Mount Pleasant Solar Co-op? And 2 weeks later, we had 50 homes sign up, and we had no idea what we were going to do. And it actually took us 2 years to figure it out. And then it just kind of stuck. And it wasn't so much a decision like, hey, I want to do this. It was that there was this huge demand. Like, all these people were like, oh, how did you do that? Will you teach us how to do it? And I guess I'm not very good at saying no. So we were like, okay, I'll help you, I'll help you. And so pretty soon we had 11 co-ops in DC, and then the neighboring states were starting to ask us. So slowly it became full-time for me, even though I hadn't really set out to make it that way.
It wasn't so much an environmental effort on my part, it was an economic. I needed an economic relief on my utility cost. And I knew I was not able to sustain my way of living in this particular house if my utility costs continued to rise. I knew that solar worked, but I didn't know the particulars of it. So I joined the Solar United Neighborhoods group, and I worked with them for like 6 months, and then it really clicked. I know how this works. I have the technical knowledge.
So low-income solar is a challenge. Solar energy has been booming, driven primarily by dramatic declines in the price of panels themselves, 80% reduction in the last 5 years. What it means for their local community is that money that they can save there can be spent in other economic and job creating opportunities in their localities. When it comes to environmental issues, there's also local air pollution, falls disproportionately on lower income people, so we see that as a link to why we want to get more solar to low income communities. Well, the federal investment tax credit, which pays for 30% of solar systems regardless of size, has been a bedrock incentive and policy that's really enabled this boom in solar that we're seeing now. So we're nearing the expiration of the credit in 2016. Well, so while solar prices have come down and they have reached parity and competitiveness with a lot of fossil fuels, there is a pretty strong argument that we should increase these incentives for another couple years until there's more price parity across the country.
Every year since I started doing this, the cost of energy goes up and the cost of solar goes down. So I don't think it's going to annihilate the solar industry. I think it'll slow it down. I think especially the first year, if it does go away, it's going to be really, really hard. But then it'll slowly pick up again.